Good morning and thank you. First, let me say it gives me great pleasure to be standing here at the State of Franchise and not have to open with last year's results were unacceptable. It's a great feeling. But I do want to repeat one thing, which one thought really I've expressed year after year, that Jacksonville deserves the best. Our fans deserve the best. In fact, thanks to the incredible support that we received on the playoff run last year, I would say our fans have earned the best. So my commitment is that we will continue to build a team that will win titles on the field and give you everything we have to make your game day experience best in the NFL and make you proud to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. Now, it's time to learn a little bit more of what we have in mind here for the coming year, 2018. So I'm honored to introduce you to the man who returned to Jacksonville early last year. Proceeded to kick us all in the butt. Something we needed, and got our attention, and shortly after that, the Jaguars got the attention of the NFL. We're lucky to have him on our side. Please welcome Tom Coughlin.
Thank you, Sean. I want to see more of that video. God, that was exciting. Jeez, it's been a few months since we've seen that. That is so exciting. At this time a year ago, only Doug Marrone, Dave Caldwell, and I knew what was in store for the 2017 season. You're supposed to laugh. If you believe that, I got some crystal balls I'll sell you out front out here. And yes, we did enjoy a degree of success, winning our division, playing in 3 playoff games, and we also established the kind of teams the Jaguars are. But as of April 16th, 2018, it's a new year. It's a new season. We have to start over to earn the right to win. I want to acknowledge our fans for the excitement and outstanding support last season, specifically the atmosphere created by you, the fans, for our home playoff game versus Buffalo was awesome. And thank you so much for that. Bring it again in this season of 2018. I want to thank Shad for his ongoing support and vision. And thanks to everyone here for your role in helping the Jaguars as we strive for our ultimate goal. As we continue to develop the Jacksonville Jaguars championship culture, we include the following thoughts and values. A, learn from the past, but do not live in the past. Live in the only moment you have control of, and that's now. And if you make the now good enough, then you will have the opportunity to determine your future. B, Andy Rooney said, I've learned that everyone wants to live on top of the mountain, but happiness and growth occurs while you're climbing it. Embrace the challenge. Embrace the adversity. It does make us stronger. Michelangelo said, the greatest danger for most of us is not that we aim too high and miss, but rather we aim too low and make it. Coaching is making men do what they don't want to do so that they can become what they want to be. Our entire team was proud to play deep into the playoffs, but let's not forget the how and the why as to the reason we got there. We believe that championships are won by teams who love one another, play for and support one another, and trust one another. It's about team. Individuals play the game, but teams win championships. And we believe that preparation is the absolute key to success. Abraham Lincoln said, if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. We believe in ultimate commitment to individual improvement and an absolute devotion to team success. You are responsible for the effort you give to bring out the best in your ability. And we believe that we always have something to prove to ourselves and to the world just how good we can be. And the challenge has once again come forth. And we believe in unwavering expectations, high expectations which are non-negotiable. President Harry Truman may have said it best. Work hard, do your best, speak the truth, assume no airs, trust in God, and have no fear. That's my part. And now it's my privilege to introduce the president of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Mark Lamping.
Thanks, Tom. Well, it was a little different opening than we've had the last 5 years, that's for sure. Today's a big day, and we can't wait to get started. As we have in past years, we'll take you through an annual review of what's happened in the Jacksonville market, talk about our growth strategy for next year. And then today we do have a series of major announcements regarding a major stadium event, a really exciting announcement regarding our development activities in and around Everbank Field, and announcement of a great new partnership today. We'll be talking about the stadium naming, and well, I guess we'll skip that next one. We're not talking about a lot of football today, okay? And so as we relate to the uniform unveil, obviously that was on Coughlin time as well. So, but I would ask, I don't ask a lot of this crowd. If you can channel those of you that have kids, and when your kids get up on Christmas morning and they see those gifts under the tree, you're as excited and surprised as the kids, right? We had a lot of people work hard on the uniform unveiling, so channel your young child. We know what's coming, but let's act surprised and excited. Over the course of the past 5 years, we've set very specific themes. 2013 took full responsibility of the challenges that Jacksonville represents and our responsibility to find those solutions. We introduced the concept of looking at almost exclusively on the business side at local revenue, because it ties to so many things that are fundamental to our hope to produce and deliver a consistently competitive but also financially stable NFL franchise here in Jacksonville for a long, long time to go. We've made great progress over the past few years, but the one thing that I would add to that, so have a lot of other NFL teams. And we have unique challenges. We have a very unique market. And if we're going to continue to make progress, we have to continue to search for unique solutions to those problems. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. We really support and believe in this virtuous cycle that begins with team performance and the experience that our fans have when they visit the stadium. If we do that well, the fan base grows. Then we have companies that want to support us. We have individuals that want to buy tickets. That creates the revenue that gives us the ability to reinvest in the team and the infrastructure. And if we're successful in doing that, that continues to feed team performance and gives us the resources to make the stadium experience even better. Why is local revenue important? Well, if you look over the past 5 or 6 years, and if you look at the teams that are in the top half of the league in local revenue, guess what? They average 1.3 wins more than the teams that are in the lower half of the league in terms of local revenue. And those teams in the upper half of the league in local revenue are 50% more likely to make the playoffs. So local revenue is really important, whether you're on the field or off the field. Let's turn our attention to Jacksonville. Jacksonville has been growing, and it's been growing in a number of areas. It's been growing in population, it's been growing in terms of per capita income, and the economy of Jacksonville has been growing. But as you compare the growth factors of Jacksonville versus the other 32 NFL teams that we compete with, our growth in terms of population is 17th out of 32. Our growth in per capita income is 28th. Our growth in terms of the local economy is 16th. So that leaves us, in terms of our rank, in terms of population, 29th in the National Football League. In terms of the average income of people that live in Jacksonville, 30th out of 32 teams. And the economy of Jacksonville is 30th out of 32 teams. Again, a unique market that presents unique challenges, and our solution to these will not be found by following some other team's playbook. The amount of NFL fans in the market, again, a little sobering. This gives you a comparison of the number of NFL fans that are in the average NFL market, That's the white bar. And if you look at the teal bar, those are the number of fans of the NFL here in Jacksonville. So it doesn't come as a surprise. We're a small market, and we continue to be a small market. And that's not something that can change overnight. If we look at Ryan O'Halloran's favorite slide, we look at the percentage of fans in the marketplace that say their favorite team is the home team. So if we go all the way to the right side of that chart, 2017, just under 50% of the people in Jacksonville say they're fans of teams other, or of the fans of the NFL within Jacksonville. 47% are outside of Jacksonville. The average market, 47% of the NFL fans say they're fans of the local team. Here in Jacksonville, it's 33%. It's a little counterintuitive. It actually dropped from 36 last year. The reason that occurred is this number, this 33%, is actually a 2-year rolling average. So we got a big boost in the last quarter of this year, but we had the 7 trailing quarters, which continue to drag us down a little bit. So we expect this to make a big step next year on the heels of all the excitement that was created in 2017. Television ratings, a little bit of a different story. Each year we've gotten up here, we've talked about how our television ratings have lagged behind the NFL average. Well, this year, again, thanks to the great performance on the field, we jumped ahead of the NFL average. This is for regular season only, so does not include playoffs. The average Jaguars regular season game had a 24 rating. The average NFL game across the country had a 23.8 rating. So that's one side of the story. The other side of the story is how do those ratings compare to the rest of the league, and how do they compare to other small markets? Normally, you would expect small markets to always over-deliver in terms of ratings. And what this chart shows is those lines that are in teal, those are the 8 smallest markets in the National Football League. And you can see where the Jaguars are. We're just a little ahead of the NFL average. The 3 top-rated markets this year in terms of television rating were all markets that were in the bottom quartile of population in the National Football League. Green Bay, New Orleans, and Buffalo. So we're ahead of the average, which is good news. We have a big increase from last year, from the year before. That's great news. We still don't perform like a typical small market. And the reason that is because half of us who are very privileged and blessed to live here are not from the state of Florida. And NFL allegiances run very deep. And if you find your way to Jacksonville, you don't automatically leave your allegiance to your team from the town that you just left. On the digital front, we've had great growth this past year. Again, this is how the Jaguars are growing on these digital platforms compared to every other NFL team. No team grew faster than the Jaguars in terms of our Facebook following. We were the 6th fastest growing in the National Football League in terms of our Twitter followers. We were 2nd in growth in terms of Instagram. We were 2nd in terms of the number of page views at Jaguars.com. We were 1st in terms of article views and video views, and we were 5th with a 56% year-over-year growth rate of photo views on Jaguars.com. So again, as we've been showing in a lot of areas, and you'll see in terms of local revenue here in a little bit, we're really making progress. We're growing faster than all the other teams. But where do we rank? Well, against those same metrics, we have the smallest Facebook following, the smallest Twitter following, 29th in Instagram, 31st in page views, 29th, 27th, and 31st in terms of article views, video views, and photo views, respectively. So again, growing fast. We're still a small market, and we need to find unique and creative solutions to deal with this because the commitment has never changed. The assignment from Shad is to have a consistently competitive NFL team that is financially stable right here in Jacksonville, Florida. But we have unique challenges. When we take at local revenue growth, what we focused on, we've continued our growth. Local revenue growth 2016 to 2017 was 11% last year. We're really looking forward to a huge year next year. The white portion of that bar is how much of our local revenue is attributable to London. It fell slightly from 12% to 11%. That's not because of slower growth in London. It's because of faster growth here in Jacksonville. And I'll show you in a minute, particularly the benefits of advancing to the playoffs, and we're beginning to see the benefits of some of the diversification we've done in terms of local revenue streams, most principally Daly's Place and Bold Events. If you take a look at that revenue growth and you break it down in terms of where it comes from, ticket revenue continues to be our single most important source of local revenue, followed by sponsorship, stadium spending. Stadium spending in terms of a percentage of our revenue took a bump this year. It took a bump this year principally because of the playoff game that we hosted. And the white piece, that's our revenue that's coming from basically outside of football. And while it's still a relatively small part, you know, it increased 4 times from 2016 to 2017. And that's one of the strategies we have to follow to try to compensate for some of those market weaknesses that are just here in Jacksonville that there's really nothing we can do about. And again, as we said the very first time, and Shad said it, it's our responsibility to fix these problems. It's not our fans' responsibility. It's our responsibility to find creative solutions to these unique problems. When we get into revenue rank, and again, I have to remind everybody, this is a year delay. So when we report revenue ranking, we're always a year behind. This compares to what happened from 2015 to 2016, and for the first time, we actually took a step back. We took a step back from 25th to 26th. Shad bought the team, we were 30th. Worked our way up to 25th, dropped to 26th. Well, what happened in 2016? Well, the Minnesota Vikings moved into a new home. The St. Louis Cardinals moved to a new city. And both of those brought significant revenue increases. And as we've shared with you in the past, if you take a look at the average ticket price, which is really the leading indicator for local revenue, if you take a look at average ticket price, when you move from an old stadium to a new stadium, you get a boost of almost 50%. And that's principally because the stadium is better designed, better premium seating, and a premium comes with that. So stadium's a big part of what we need to watch. And this puts Everbank Field into perspective. If you take a look at all the teams that have built new stadiums since the Jaguars arrived in Jacksonville, it's a significant number. And then you add on top of that those communities and stadiums that have benefited from well in excess of $300 million in improvements, you add another 5 teams. Since we've started making these state of the franchise presentations, we've had 2 teams leave their markets to go to new markets, and we've had a third announce their intentions and the approval to move to a new market in the case of the Oakland Raiders. So that leaves us and the Bills. Could have called it the Stadium Bowl last year, I guess, in the playoffs. But it's the reality and what we need to deal with, and why investment in the stadium is so important. We recognize that. That's why we have been investing in this city-owned stadium so aggressively. But without investment, without a continued investment, the economic life of the stadium will quickly wind down. We have to continue to keep it well maintained and make investments in the stadium that are relevant to the changing needs of our fans. London was a very strategic, important part of our plan to remain competitive here in Jacksonville. London is sort of the opposite of Jacksonville in many respects. In terms of market size, 10.5 times the size of Jacksonville. The stadium is 30% bigger where we play. The average ticket price, 40%. And the revenue potential is almost double when we play at Wembley versus when we play our games here in Jacksonville. This puts it into perspective. If you look at the teal line on the left, if every single ticket is sold at Everbank Field, that's the revenue potential. And when you lay that against every other NFL stadium, what is the revenue potential of that stadium? The white bar is the NFL average. You can see how far below we are. And the gold bar, that's the revenue potential when we've played in London. And it goes up and down a little bit. That's not because capacity has changed or ticket pricing has changed. It's because the exchange rate has changed between the US dollar and the British pound. But even with really adverse exchange rate moves, the revenue potential at Wembley Stadium compared to Everbank Field is significant. And we've talked about the importance of London to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those dollars that we generate in London make us stronger and more stable here in Jacksonville. It's a really critical part of our future. We've been investing in the marketplace, not only in London, not only to develop the game, but also begin to develop an affinity for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We have a number of programs that are grassroots in nature. We've introduced a form of flag football in the elementary schools, over 225% growth year over year in terms of participants. We host a flag football tournament across the entire country, 54% increase in participation year over year. We have a junior version of the Honor Rose program at Wembley Stadium, and we've been fortunate to be able to double the participation in that year over year. And for the first time this year, we began producing and distributing a digital program here in Jacksonville that is specifically targeted for our fans in the UK. And we had an average of over 21,000 fans watching Jags Jam, which is a UK themed program that we produce out of Jacksonville each and every Wednesday during the season. Sponsors also recognize the growing importance of American football in the UK. From 2013 to 2017, the spending from sponsors in America football, whether it's directly with the NFL or with some of the programs that the Jaguars do, has increased by an average of 25% each and every year. So it is growing. Our fan club that started at 0 in the UK, the Union Jacks, has grown from 0 to just over 86,000 members this past year. And look at the big bump from 2017 to 2018 that was related to team performance. So great growth in terms of the engagement with Jaguar fans in the UK. So I spend all this time talking about how great London is, and it's not like it's a secret here in Jacksonville. A lot of teams are interested in London. This shows the number of teams that have participated in regular season games in London. By the end of this year, 24 games, obviously 48 teams. And almost every team is represented. I think it's down to just 3 teams that haven't played a regular season game in London. And a number of teams aren't afraid of playing multiple games there. While we have played the most games through this year, we would have played 6 games in the UK. There are a handful of other teams that have played more than 1 game. The Dolphins have played 4. The Rams have played 3. And a lot of teams see in London what we see in London. And we have to protect our position there. Our growth strategy going forward, continue to focus on the fan experience. Continue to try to find and create new revenue streams. Remain a responsible leader in the Jacksonville community. And at the heart of all that, really focus on our average ticket price. It's critically important. Why is it so important? This chart with all these dots basically tells you that if you have a high average ticket price, you're going to rank high in the league in terms of local revenue. If you have low average ticket price, you're going to rank low in the league in terms of local revenue. So as we look at how we've done, this chart basically shows the average ticket price of the Jaguars going back to 1995. That's the teal line as it's gone through all the years. The gold line is what the average ticket price would have been if it's simply increased by inflation. So as you can see, for the first 4 or 5 years, the Jaguar ticket prices followed very closely inflation. A lot of that was influenced by the first tickets that were sold here were sold under multi-year contracts. And then once you get into the 2000s, the average ticket price begins to dip a little bit. And got a little closer to that price in around 2007, 2008, coincided a little bit with better team performance. And as you know, we've been focusing on average ticket price year in and year out since Shad became the owner. Most of that action has been deploying additional premium seating products in the stadium to get our average ticket price up by adding new higher priced products that fans can choose to opt into. And you see it all over the stadium today compared to what you would have seen prior to Shad's purchase. And the good news is, with the price move that we were able to make this offseason, thank you, Tom, thank you, Dave, thank you, Doug. We've been telling you we've been waiting for the team to get better so we could sell through a price increase. But we have now moved slightly ahead of what the ticket prices were back in 1995 on just an inflationary basis. So that's the good news. The other side of the coin is, what have other NFL teams been doing during that same time period? So this takes that same teal line that has where we are in terms of average ticket price, but it also adds where we ranked in the league. When the Jaguars arrived in Jacksonville, not only did we have the highest average ticket price in the league, we had it by a long way. And in fact, the average ticket price for the Jacksonville Jaguars compared to the Carolina Panthers, the other team that started the same year, the pricing in Jacksonville, the average ticket price was 50% greater than Carolina. So what's happened since then? As I showed on the previous slide, we've kept up with inflation. And by keeping up with inflation, we've gone from the highest ticket prices in the league to the 26th highest ticket prices in the league, making progress, going from 28th to 26th, but still well in the bottom quartile of the National Football League. That tells you, if you believe the importance of average ticket price, it tells you we better find other ways to generate revenue, in addition to continuing to make sure that we give Jaguar fans a great value for the hard-earned money that they choose to invest following their favorite team. Season tickets is the heartbeat of this franchise from a financial standpoint. And there are a lot of reasons why Jaguar fans either choose to renew their season tickets, or a Jaguar fan may choose to purchase new season tickets. There's a lot of factors. But through a lot of great work from our business analytics group, we've been able to isolate a number of factors that when you take them combined, it turns out to give you a really good indication of what you might be able to expect. Team performance, obviously, at the top of the list. But it's not just the number of games that you win. It's actually something different than that. It's the number of games that you won compared to the number of games that the fans expected you to win. So if they expect you to win 12 games and you win 12 games, that's an awesome season, but it didn't necessarily over-deliver on fans' expectations. This past year, I don't think the majority of our fans, we know that Tom, Dave, and Doug knew it a year ago, but not the rest of the fans knew we were going to win the AFC South and win 2 playoff games and advance to the AFC Championship game. So how you perform compared to expectation is really important. The number of years that you've been a season ticket holder, the number of games that you've purchased as part of your season ticket package, obvious stuff like how far away from the stadium do you live? What type of account are you? Are you a corporate account? Are you a personal account? And where are your seats? So you blend all those together and you come up with a model that's pretty predictive. And in fact, we're going to share that with you here in a moment. In terms of new season ticket holders, there's a lot of reasons why individuals be motivated to buy season tickets, but the factors that are predictable is what was the team performance, what was the expectation, and the schedule. The schedule is really important for new season ticket holders. So this is a little bit of an eye chart, but if you start on the left, this is what our model predicts can happen in the future, and it shows what has happened in the past. If all those dots cluster closely to that line that cuts across the chart, that means that there's a really high level of correlation, you can have a lot of confidence in terms of the predictability. And you can see all of those dots are pretty close to that line that bisects the chart. And if you look at the very top, in 2018, our model projects that we will have the highest season ticket renewal rate that we've had since we tracked this, which goes back to 2004. So a lot of optimism for this off season. The chart on the right is what the model suggests in terms of new season ticket sales, and it also suggests the same thing. We'll sell more season tickets this off season than we have in any year since 2004. One year we've taken out of this, and that's the Team Teal year. That was sort of a different type of animal, And I think there was close to 11,000 season tickets sold during that Team Teal year. We've talked that twisting the arm of the community to buy season tickets, unless if you don't, something bad's going to happen. We don't think that's a sustainable strategy. We've chosen not to pursue that. But at the same time, most of those tickets that were purchased are no longer season ticket holders. So a lot of optimism for this off season, at least as far as the analytics people are telling us. So how are we doing so far? In terms of renewals, we're running 20% ahead of last year, tracking actually a little ahead of what the model would predict. And this is an interesting chart. These are new season ticket sales. We've sold over 7,500 new season tickets already. And we have a lot of months ahead of us in terms of season ticket sales. So, could be a great year. The reason that line, the slope of that line is so severe is that was basically all the deposits that have been collected going back to the middle of December. Fans that wanted to get in line to buy season tickets for the 2018 season. And we have now finally worked through that entire list of fan deposits, and in excess of 90% of the fans that put down deposits, and it was a nominal deposit, I think $100 a seat, 90% of those fans converted to full-time season ticket holders. So really encouraged in terms of how this offseason has gone. We still have a long way to go, but we feel pretty good about where we are right now. The analytics folks are also feeling pretty good about their job security. The 2018 schedule has a big influence in terms of what we can expect this next year. And if you haven't heard, it was announced a few hours ago that our game in London will be played on October 28th. So week 8 of the NFL season. And the rest of the schedule will be released this evening at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I talked a little bit about how important tenure of season ticket holders are. And if we can get great renewal rates each and every year, it puts us in a great position to be able to grow local revenue. The lowest renewal rate amongst all of our season ticket holders are those season ticket holders that bought season tickets for the first time. If we can get a season ticket holder to renew for the second year, the third year, the fourth year, the fifth year, if we can get them past that first year, they're 50% more likely to renew their season tickets. If we can get them beyond 6 years, they're 60% more likely. If we can get them beyond 10 years, they're 70% more likely. So focusing on the first-year season ticket holders is an important objective. It has been for quite some time, but we're sort of redoubling our efforts as it relates to making those first-year season ticket holders feel special. We just announced a program a few weeks ago called Jaguars One, which provides a lot of unique benefits, a lot of hand-holding, a lot of special experiences for those season ticket holders who are season ticket holders for the first time. You know, the idea of having these rookie season ticket holders begin to develop a bond with the rookie class of the team. So a lot of things are really important, giving them behind-the-scenes advantages on not only how to use their season tickets, but also to learn even more about what the Jaguars and what we're all about. The fan experience is a very important part of everything that we do. You've seen the millions and millions of dollars that has been invested in the stadium in partnership with the city of Jacksonville, and it's produced great results. So we're going to talk a little bit today about what's to come, focus on the north end zone and the south end zone. I'll give you an update in a little more detail in a moment. But there's some other things that we're doing as it relates to concession pricing. The tarps are off, which is, I think, psychologically, we've always viewed the tarps as sort of a visible sign of underachievement. And it's great to be able to know that we're going into the season without the tarps on the seats. We've opened up 3,500 seats. I think Tom mentioned it, I think we all felt what the stadium could be like when we had the tarps off for the Bills playoff game. And there is a lot of importance being placed on creating a real home field advantage here at Everbank Field. The players know it makes a difference. The coaches know it makes a difference. The general manager, the head of football operations, all know that it makes a difference if you have a full stadium, and that full stadium is boisterous in their support for the team. Needed more than ever in 2018. We also introduced a new premium seating product in the south end zone, added about 50 seats, higher price seats, all-inclusive seats, and happy to report that those are sold out already. So let's turn to concessions in a little more detail. We know that there is the reality that our fans, when they look at a trip to Everbank Field, while we focus a lot on what it costs to purchase the ticket, there's a lot of other things that fans spend money on. Spend it on parking, they spend it on food and beverage in the stadium. And while we continue to be a really friendly team as it relates to allowing our fans to bring their own food and beverage into the stadium, we've also looked at the overall cost of attending a Jaguars game and looked at the most popular items that were sold, historically that have been sold at Everbank Field: hot dogs, fries, nachos, pretzels, soft drink. Those are the highest volume items that are sold. And we looked at a new pricing strategy. So all of those will be priced at $5. And if you were going to buy all of those at a game last year, it would cost you $32. Those same items in 2018 will cost you $25, or a reduction of 22%. We're also really excited to bring the first dog park to an NFL stadium. And this is thanks to a great Jacksonville-based company, Pet Paradise. We'll have a dog park. We'll be bringing the third swimming pool to Everbank Field. Oh, wait, I see a bunch of council members. The third water feature to Everbank Field. We have our guest here today that's joining us for the announcement with the appropriate walk-up music. But we are really excited about this project and want to recognize the CEO of Pet Paradise, Fernando Acosta-Rio, is here with us today. Fernando, stand, please stand. What we may be short on people, we make up with pets. But we're really excited about this, and it's going to bring new life to the south end zone. And again, I think it's a great example of the creativity of our marketing folks and our sales folks, and the support that we're so proud to receive from local Jacksonville-based companies. Before I get into the north end zone, I need to put things into perspective a little bit, because what we're doing in the north end zone does have a tie to the military. So before I do that, let's take a step back. There's 150,000 veterans in Northeast Florida. There's 50,000 active duty military personnel, Department of Defense civilians, and government contractors. 1 in 4 people in this community have some direct connection to the U.S. military. And the total economic impact in Northeast Florida from the Department of Defense is $12.3 billion, single largest contributor to the GDP here in Jacksonville. And in terms of the importance of the military to the Jacksonville Jaguars, compared to all other NFL markets, we have the highest concentration of veterans that live in Jacksonville compared to any other NFL market. Just under 13% of the people who live here are veterans. And then you look at, how do those veterans integrate into the Jacksonville society? Well, from an income ratio, very well. The average vet in Jacksonville makes a significant premium to the average NFL resident. And in fact, that premium, which is almost 50%, is second in all of the National Football League. So the difference between a vet makes versus what the rest of the population makes, that difference from a percentage basis is highest in Jacksonville compared to every other NFL market, with the exception of one, which is Washington, D.C. If you then look at the age of the veterans, a composite age of veterans, the veterans in Jacksonville are the second youngest. If you look at the number of veterans that are under age 65, the percentage of those is, again, second only to Washington, D.C. So we got a big veterans market. The veterans market earns money or has earnings in advance of the, in excess of the average resident, and they tend to be younger than the composite veterans in most other NFL markets. So a really, really important part of our marketplace. And it's reflected in our activities. Not only what we do in the stadium with military flyover, the way we recognize veteran business owners, the veteran of the game, the great tradition with the fourth quarter bell ringer, and we're really excited that, well, I'll get into the details here in a moment, that these special moments during the game where we honor vets, and the feedback we get is it's not only the vets that feel good about that, but it's the veterans in the stands feel good about the fact that they're being recognized. All of those activities, the veteran business owner, the veteran of the game, and the fourth quarter bell ringer, all of that's going to be consolidated in the north end zone. We also make significant contributions to military-themed and military-supportive nonprofits throughout the community, and our support is critically important to many of those. The USO, as an example, the partnership that we work as it relates to getting inexpensive tickets in the hands of servicemen and their families, that program itself is the single largest source of fundraising for the Jacksonville USO. We support a large number of programs. And our Salute to Service game is second to none. And the way that we honor our annual serviceman or woman is we take a national perspective. The military is so important to Jacksonville. We try to focus across the country because Jacksonville is such a special place for the military. So over the past few years, our honorees are listed on the top. We had the former Secretary of Navy, Ray Mabus, down here, James Strivitis, a former Supreme Commander of NATO forces in Europe, and we've had retired Congressman and Andrew Crenshaw, Vic Guillory, former commander at Mayport, Michael Calhoun this past year, head of Florida National Guard. And we're really blessed that three outstanding members of the military community who make their full-time home, their full-time home here in Jacksonville. Bob Natter, retired Navy Admiral, Craig McKinley, retired General from the Air Force, and Buddy Titshaw, Major General, retired from the Air Force, serve the Jaguars in the form of a military steering committee. They work very closely with us to make sure that we have the right connections into the community, and they also provide us great counsel as it relates to our activities, particularly when it involves the military. So all of them provided unbelievable service to this country, and they're a great resource for us here at the Jaguars. So what that brings us to the north end zone. And we're thrilled to be able to introduce you to a company by the name of Grunt Style. Grunt Style was a partner of the Jaguars last year, and we've really gotten to know them over the past few years. But before we talk about Grunt Style and what they're going to do here, I want to share with you a little bit about what the company is all about. It's a lifestyle and apparel company. It was founded in 2009 by retired U.S. Army Drill Sergeant Daniel Alaric. Coming out of Fort Benning in Georgia, I believe, after he left the service, started this company basically out of the trunk of his car. He employs 500 veterans and patriots today, and as a company, they take great pride in themselves, the military, and the country. Daniel's with us today. Daniel, would you mind just standing up for a sec? I mean, you employ a ton of veterans. And we couldn't be more proud to be able to meld together, our long-term commitment to the military, along with a company that's putting veterans to work and doing it in a way that they take great pride in what they do each and every day. So the north end zone. North end zone will be rebranded. It'll still have all the fun things that our fans have become accustomed to, but the theming will change. It'll be Camp Grunt Style. and really where training camp meets boot camp. A lot of the things that people have loved in the past stay, and a new military theme and a focus on some of the aspects of service and a real focus on recognition of service. So you're going to see a bit of a redesign in terms of the north end zone. There'll be an area where we'll really be focused on hometown pride. It'll be the new home of the fourth quarter bell, as well as an area to celebrate our hometown heroes. There'll be an area where Jaguar fans can compete against each other in interactive games, and we'll have a spot up there which really gives us the opportunity to not only recognize the veteran of the game, but also recognize and remember those that have served. So we're really excited about a relaunch of the north end zone, and we couldn't be more proud of doing it with a great company that's veteran-owned, veteran-formed, and veteran-supported in the case of Grunt Style. Jacksonville is a little bit of a changing market. This chart shows the concentration of Hispanics, and if you look at this chart, you can see that the concentration is principally in Central and South Florida. But if you look at how it's growing, you're seeing great growth in Northeast Florida and Southern Georgia in terms of the Hispanic market. So it's beginning to grow. The complexion of this great community is beginning to change a bit, and we're thrilled that we believe that now is the right time to be much more aggressive in terms of supporting the needs of that community. So starting next year, we will have Spanish language broadcasts of all Jaguar games through a partnership with Tico Sports and Todos Somos Duval. We are all Duval. I believe that's what that means. So very excited about this, and again, it's an emerging market, and it's a market that's really important for us to serve and hopefully develop even more Jaguar fans. The commitment to the community has been a cornerstone of this franchise from the time that Tom Petway, who is here with us today, led the effort to bring a team here. Wayne and Dolores Weaver were focused on serving the community, and Shad has enhanced that since his purchase of the team. This past year, we set a record. $3.1 million were distributed into the community. And I think it's important to note, of that $3.1 million, $200,000 came right out of the pockets of our players. So the players contribute to this. They do it through a number of different ways, but player funds that are collected go back in the community. And of that 3.1, 200,000 was directly from our players, and a similar amount, if not more, you'll see next year. We also raised $820,000 via foundation events, so our fans are becoming a part of the Jaguars Foundation. Our players, who have very few days off during the season, still find the time to make 500 appearances. The Jaguars also make appearances in the community, donate a lot of items into the community to help not-for-profits raise money, and impacted in excess of 30,000 youth here in the Northeast Jacksonville community just last year. A couple highlights from last year. The Kahn family personally donated $1 million to hurricane relief efforts here in Northeast Florida. And the best part about that was they took the leading position with that, and very quickly partners and those affiliates with the Jaguars stepped in behind them and raised almost $3 million to support Florida's First Coast Relief Fund. And weren't we also proud of our mayor last year, Lenny Curry, who's with us today, and the leadership that he showed in the community during the hurricane last year. So Lenny, thank you very much for your leadership. We also had a really exciting program to reach out to some of our new neighbors. The devastation of the hurricanes in Puerto Rico resulted in a lot of things. One of the things that has happened with that is that there's a very large number of Puerto Ricans that have been displaced and now find their home in the state of Florida. Northeast Florida also, we have a tremendous number of refugees from outside the country that have come here as they escaped their home country. And we were fortunate enough to be able to host 1,000 of these folks at our playoff game versus the Buffalo Bills. And they had a great time, and I guarantee you we have 1,000 new Jaguar fans as a result of that program. Daly's Place was a big initiative for us last year. A lot of work went into that. It was not an easy project, but it had a great ending. And one of the things that we've talked about consistently is that we believe that the key to unlocking the opportunities for economic development in downtown Jacksonville can be found by having more people visit Jacksonville. We also want to focus on people working in Jacksonville and living in Jacksonville, but getting people to visit downtown Jacksonville is really important, and it has a direct economic impact to the community. Last year, we're proud that we were able to host over 200,000 visitors to events at Daly's Place. To put that in perspective, that's the equivalent of more than 3 Jaguar games. So we're continuing to try to find ways to not only generate and create new revenue streams, but do it in the context of what can benefit the city of Jacksonville. We're taking that same focus to stadium events. We feel that the investments that have been made in the facility in conjunction with the city of Jacksonville puts us in a position now where we can be much more aggressive in terms of trying to attract major events to Everbank Field. We have a great partnership with the city that allows the Jaguars to be more aggressive in terms of that support. And again, it's really important as it relates to enhancing new revenue streams that help us compensate for some of the inherent market challenges that we might have. So as we go into the kickoff of the football season, we're really excited for an event that we're going to be holding here at Everbank Field on September 2nd.
Leonard Skinnard, Last of the Street Survivors, Farewell Tour, Sunday, September 2nd, Labor Day weekend, Everbank Field, home of the Jaguars, Hall of Famers, Leonard Skinnard, and they're bringing along their friends, Kid Rock and Jason Aldean. Multi-platinum selling, Kid Rock.
With the top left back and the sunshine shining, cowboy baby.
3-time ACM Entertainer of the Year, Jason Aldean. The most rockin' Labor Day party that goes all day and all night, featuring all-day activities. Jason Aldean, Kid Rock, and Leonard Skinnard. Plus more special guests to be announced Sunday, September 2nd, Labor Day weekend, Everbank Field, home of the Jaguars. Leonard Skinnard celebrating their final bow with Kid Rock, Jason Aldean.
This event would not have been possible without the city and SMG, and I'm very pleased to introduce Jacksonville's own Johnny Van Zant and Ricky Medlock.
Hello, how's everybody doing this morning? Or this afternoon, should I say. Hey, you know what? On behalf of my brother Ronnie, Alan Collins, Gary Rosington, Leon Wilkerson, Billy Powell, this is a dream come true, I think, for the Leonard Skinnard Band. We're doing our farewell tour, and I was talking to a friend of mine, Jim Signorella, who's with St. Michael's Soldiers and part of the Fields Cadillac organization, and he was asking me, he said, where are you guys going to play out in Jacksonville? Surely you're going to play somewhere good in Jacksonville. And I said, I'm not for sure yet. And we thought about Daly's Place. We thought at least maybe a couple of nights down there. And he said, you know what? I know some folks with the Jaguars. Let me make a few calls. And he called me back and said, hey, you know, I talked to Chad Johnson, and he said, hey, they might be interested in doing something with you guys. And I said, hey, the Jags and Skinnard, come on. So, and I've lived here in Jacksonville my whole life, and I got to tell you, I'm so proud of the coaches, the team. You know what? I travel all over, and I met Doug early, and he goes, hey, you need to get down to some games. I said, we're always playing, so I have to watch it, you know, on TV during the day. And Tom, it's good to see you back with the team, and Doug, I mean, again, and Thank you, sir. And again, it's our pleasure. We're going to rock the house here. Let's feel the tilt. You know, I was thinking we have a lot of UK fans. We ought to do something special with them. They'd come over and see this show.
This is pretty special for me. I was born and raised in this town. I'm now 68 years old, and I look back on it. I was here still living in Jacksonville when it was announced that the Jacksonville Jaguars we were going to have an NFL team. And I just thought that was just the baddest thing I'd ever heard in my life. You know, wow, Jacksonville's going to have an actual NFL team. And I am so proud of this town. I was standing on my balcony last night looking out at downtown Jacksonville. And I had forgotten, I guess after all these years, I had forgotten just how beautiful Jacksonville is downtown. And looking at all the lights and everything, and I couldn't help but think, man, I've come this far to see this town do this great. And I'm just proud to be a part of Jacksonville, proud to be, that I was born and raised here. And you guys, we just found out the coach was a big-time Leonard Skinner fan today. So that makes it all the better, you know. So I promise, Johnny and I have been talking about attending the games now that things are kind of winding down for Leonard Skinner. We're going to be at the game sometime. So thank you very much, Jacksonville. We appreciate it.
Go Jags!
That was awesome. And thanks to the Field Auto Group for the introduction. Another great Jaguar sponsor. There's a couple things we're getting into, but on the subject of sponsors. And we'll talk about the uniform unveiling here in a second, but I do want to say something. You know, what happened with the uniform unveiling was a miscommunication from the Jaguars to the sign company. So anyone who thinks that our great partners at JIA at the airport had anything to do with this, that's not simply the case. They had absolutely nothing to do with it. It's our issue that we created, but I didn't want to say that in the context of talking about sponsors. So as you look forward to the next set of programs, one of the things we've talked about is what can we do in conjunction with the city to help achieve the goal of more people living, more people visiting, and more people working downtown. And there's been a lot of discussion over the past a few years as it relates to first the Shipyards project and an expanded Shipyards project, and a lot of discussion regarding Lot J. And we're going to help give you some answers to that today, along with a really important announcement as it relates to a special partner that's going to join us in this effort. So without further ado, here's a vision of what you can expect to see. Now, this is going to happen over a number of years and a number of phases, but this is a view, obviously, from the river. There we go. So just to take you through this, this is a large exposition hall, maybe convention center, a different perspective. Again, you see Everbank Field, the potential development on parking lots outside of the stadium, and then this parcel here that's known as Lot J, entertainment area, 3 large buildings, shops and retail at the ground floor level, a real active space, and again, combination of office, hotel, residential, some combination of that mix, really dependent upon what the market will bear. And what's really important as part of this, and it's absolutely critical, is that for a neighborhood like this to be successful and to really transform downtown, it starts with jobs. So everything that we do, we need to focus really hard at bringing jobs to this part of downtown. And if we're successful in terms of this activity, you would expect it to bleed towards downtown, and with all the other exciting stuff happening in downtown, that could bleed towards the sports complex. And we'll get close to realizing the full potential that downtown Jacksonville represents. This is just a little closer look at where you might expect some of the first activities to occur, and that would be in Lot J. And again, we have to react to the marketplace. And you can see the Veterans Memorial Wall stays here. If the military community and the community as a whole feels like it's a good idea, we would love to be able to relocate this to a much more prominent spot in the midst of a veterans park on the banks of the St. Johns River, as opposed to being tucked away around a bunch of surface parking lots. But again, we recognize that's hallowed ground, and a decision like that will only be made in full participation and consent of the community, particularly the military community. So we're not developers. And to do something like this, we need help. And we need somebody that can partner with us, somebody that can provide us guidance, most importantly, somebody who's done it before. So we are really pleased to announce today a partnership with the Cordish companies based out of Baltimore. The Cordish company has been around for generations. They're a family-owned business. They do a lot of special things around the country. But one thing that really attracted us to Cordish is how they have been able to successfully bring sports-themed new neighborhoods to urban settings. Mixed use, meaning places where people can come play, where they can come work, where they can come visit, and been very, very experienced and successful in achieving our goal, which is a really vibrant new neighborhood that contributes not only to the quality of life of Jacksonville, but also contributes to the economic strength of downtown Jacksonville. So we're really pleased today to welcome a principal with Cordish, Blake Cordish, who's with us today. Blake. And Zed Smith, the president of the Cordish companies. It's one thing for the local football team to think it's a good idea to invest in downtown Jacksonville. It's a totally different thing for an internationally known, nationally recognized developer to take a look at Jacksonville and also say, you know what, I think we see the potential. And excited about the partnership with the Cordish company. Could not have selected a better partner as we kick off this project. What I'd like to do at this point is run a little video that gives you a sense of some of the projects that Cordish has done across the country that could be similar to what you might be able to envision here in Jacksonville. Estimates at full development well in excess of $2 billion in investment in Jacksonville. And I think that pretty much says it all. I talked about sponsors before, and we have a lot of wonderful sponsors, and pleased to welcome a new one today, to be able to recognize an enhanced one today as well. But our most significant partner is our naming rights partner. And we'll be getting to the uniforms here in a minute. But to give you an idea on some of the aspects of the stadium where these new uniforms will be displayed. It's my privilege to welcome Blake Wilson, the president and CEO of Everbank, soon to become TIAA Bank. Blake.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Mark. Thank you, Shad. Congratulations to see the excellence both on and off the field here. So proud to be a part of it. I know I speak on behalf of all of our colleagues here at Everbank. We're excited to celebrate not only today, but what lies ahead for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're also very excited about some of the changes that are actually taking place at our bank, at this incredible stadium, and the vision that we have here, and the community programs that we support in partnership with the Jaguars. I'm sure many of you saw earlier this year that Everbank will become TIAA Bank this June. Last year, Everbank was acquired by TIAA, a global financial services company and one of the most respected firms in our industry. For over 100 years, this year, TIAA has carried out a mission to provide financial security to millions of people, making a real difference in our world by serving those that serve others in the non-for-profit sector and beyond. We're very proud to be a part of the TIAA family. And we're especially proud that TIAA Bank will continue to call Jacksonville our headquarters home. Our roots go back to the 1960s here, and Jacksonville has always been our bank's home. We're deeply committed to this entire region. The commitment includes our support for this stadium, the Jaguars, the city of Jacksonville, our incredible Jaguar fans, and the many service organizations that are strengthening the community overall. Our partnership with the Jaguars goes back to 2010 when the stadium became Everbank Field. In 2014, we recommitted to sponsor the stadium and the Jaguars for another 10 years through the 2024 season. All of our 3,500 associates at the bank take great pride in being part of the Jaguars family. We're also very proud that Everbank Field will now become TIAA Bank Field, opening a new era for the home of the Jaguars. The name is changing a bit, but Jaguar fans will continue to lock down the bank each and every game day. We're also incredibly proud of our off-the-field relationship with the Jacksonville Jaguars. In fact, we're going to be doing even more together in the years ahead. I'd like to share with you a short video celebrating what all of us working together have accomplished and what we'll continue to do in the years ahead. Thank you.
Home field advantage. It's real. You can feel it. Our stadium is where our team and our fans come to life. It's a new day. It's a new team. It's a new culture. It's a new day at the bank as well. This season, Everbank becomes TIAA Bank, and our stadium becomes TIAA Bank Field. Our bank has worked hard to make a positive impact on this community. And now we are a part of a TIAA family with a 100-year history of making a difference. A company created to serve and built to perform. And together we build on that relentless commitment to community. Because this is your home, and this is our home. It's where we live, where we work, where we raise our families, and we will make our difference. At TIAA Bank, we believe in the power of home ownership. It transforms lives. Home ownership lays the foundation for success, and we want everyone in our community to have their own home field advantage. So today, TIAA Bank and the Jaguars are ready to make that commitment real. Over the next 5 years, we pledge to save or build 100 homes in our community. 100 homes. That's 100 families achieving that home field advantage. Because we are in this together to make a difference. So let our name on the stadium be a beacon, a stake in the ground, evidence of our commitment to our community, because we are one team, and this is our home. We are created to serve, built to perform. And home field advantage means something to all of us.
At this point, we'll turn to the uniform unveil. But before I introduce Brian Sexton, I think I heard somebody describe our uniforms in the best way this morning, listening to 1010XL. It looks like the type of uniforms from a team that wants to establish the run first and then play great defense. Brian Sexton.
Good afternoon. What you're about to see is the culmination of a commitment made more than a year ago by Shad Khan and Tom Coughlin. The commitment was about winning and everything that winning requires and everything that winners represent. Coach Coughlin, as you all know, can certainly and absolutely articulate the classic and timeless ideals that all winners strive for. The goal was to connect the 2018 Jacksonville Jaguars with the great teams of our early history, the players who played in those days and the amazing fans who supported them both. What you will see is a uniform that is timeless, that is classic. Now, it's got a modern style and all the latest technological innovation, but it has a direct connection to the timeless, classic ideals and the tradition that all the great franchises have. And when we talk about tradition and timelessness and classic style in Jacksonville, we know what's required.
I wanted to see the return of tradition. I wanted to be a part of history. We want wins, we want Super Bowls, we want division titles. That's why I'm here. Black and teal is this franchise. When you put that uniform on, it represents one team.
So let's start with the helmet. It's a return to the standard high gloss that we know and love. And when you stand next to it on game day, you can see in the reflection the players, the fans in the stands. Even on a cloudy day, you can see the clouds in the sky. You see the logo, the updated modern Jaguars logo on either side. And across the front, you'll notice, and it will be in 3D, JAX connects us to the city of Jacksonville. On the back, on the collar, Jaguars. Now to the jersey. We'll start with the primary jersey, the black, which represents power. I want to point out the numbers. Full block modern is the font that you see here, and it's the only place that you'll see it. You may have seen something like it. Full block's been used by classic teams like the Packers and the Bears with winning pedigrees for nearly 80 years. But this has a bit of a teal twist because we challenged the folks who designed to come up with a modern version. Full block, 10-inch numbers on the front, 12-inch on the back. Should note that for the first time in Jaguars history, the numbers aren't multi-tiered. There's no teal or gold, or what you see there is a bold number. On the black jerseys, on the white jerseys, on the teal jerseys, the numbers are stitched on in that color so that the number stands out in a big, bold way. Let's go to the white jerseys, which are sleek, speedy, stylish, which really speak to the technology of these new Nike Vapor Untouchable uniforms. First thing you'll notice, all of the seams were removed from the front and the shoulders. It almost fits like a shrink wrap, which maximizes for the players the fit, right, and the mobility and the motion, but minimizes grab space. All the seams meet in the back. These are water resistant, which help with the thermoregulation of the body's temperature. All the latest technology. It's too even difficult to explain other than to say that the Jaguars have it. The white has just a touch of teal. And then we come to what this new uniform really allows us to do, the all teal. For the first time in Jaguars history, they will have teal pants. This is both the color rush uniform, and you can tell because the socks are teal as well, and it's the alternative uniform, which means that the Jaguars will be able to wear this up to 3 times in the 2018 season. It's really doing teal like never before. Should also point out that the teal pants can be worn on any Sunday afternoon. Fans responded amazing to the teal against Cincy and Seattle last year. Can only imagine what they're going to think of this. This is our unofficial unveiling. The official uniform unveiling party is next Thursday night, draft night, on the stage at Daly's Place with the players in the uniforms. So join us. The gates open at 6:30 next Thursday night. The event with the players in uniform begins at 7 o'clock.
That's the end of our program. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you all very much for coming. If you want to come up and take pictures of uniforms, please feel free. Just stay off the stage, just in front of it. All the media, if you would, move to your left. We'll do follow-up interviews with Shad and Mark over there. Thank you for coming. Have a good day.